Oh, yes, it is the 21st episode of the podcast. And I'm not alone. I'm obviously with the queen in the building. Yeah.
Hey fam, hey,
You
what's
see, we
up?
keep messing it up by singing.
You just can't resist that intro, man. It's just so dope. Very, very cool.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to it. It is the Slicer
Wow.
TV podcast. We are on our 21st episode. Please do not mind my broken sunglasses as I take them off to look a bit cuter. Good to have you, Queen. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good to be back. Hi to our viewers and everybody. I'm a bit under. I'm not necessarily having. I'm not feeling fluish, but I think with this heat and any fan, just blasting all night every day, I'm getting a bit of a sinus reaction.
Mm.
I'm good. I'm good.
Is
How are
it
you?
change of season yet? Some
Not
might not
really.
have.
It's just weird weather because ushu extremely and then caneta.
Mm.
It's just weird. It's just weird. I think the heat wave has been extremely hectic this year for me. I don't know.
Crazy. So
Yeah.
good to have you. We cannot have Uzizi Urara. He's busy with his personal stuff. So we forgive him. And
Yeah.
hey, we're quite capable. A lot has been going on.
Oh, where do we start?
I don't know. I left my notes downstairs. As you can see, there's nothing here, but it's all up in my because I mean, like everything is just on our heads, man. I think the first thing that we pick up is this.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, it is Mr. Ndlozi saying, hey.
Mm.
Yeah, forget me, we EFF, and very telling, quite respectful. I'd
Yeah.
like to mention the interview with regards to the allegations and everything that has been
Yeah.
leveled against him, and for him to keep quiet for so long as well. It's just commendable. I think it
Mm.
of discipline. That's why we call your ass doctor, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's why he's the bay of the country. He's very,
Right?
respectful in the way that he responded. And of course, I like that he didn't respond when people were putting pressure on him, especially in media, trying to pressure Azoteta when he's ready to respond. And obviously, he's had time to think and reflect and prepare
Mm,
his responses, in terms
mm.
of what he wants to say.
A very professional and emotional showing there, as far as
Yeah.
is concerned. And
Mm.
I mean, like, just relaying the whole thing, how it played out, and the fact that, like, it was not known, it was denied that he was suspended from the political party,
Yeah.
leading up to the conference that they had, and he was still quiet and didn't say anything. And when he had that interview on SABC, he was very articulate, and obviously he was in a position to give us the facts, or
Yeah.
his side of the story. And obviously, it's an African thing, that whole thing that you do not rat, you do not become impimpi or an informer. And it was
Mm.
expected of
Mm.
him to go tell the leadership about Floyd Shivambu leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's like when an employee, in your place of work, says that, like, I want to leave the company. There's someone they confide in, and
Yeah.
now you want to hold a person over coals about something
Yeah.
that crazy. I think it's childish of the EFF leadership, if you ask me, and that is my
Yeah,
opinion.
I think it definitely was an emotionally immature moment of Julius because you have to hold each person accountable for themselves, you know. I mean, as much as of course he's expecting loyalty from Mundlozi, but if somebody's resigning, they have to be responsible and go and report that to their leadership, not via another person. So I think definitely a clumsy way that Julius has dealt with it. Also, this I was shocked to learn that he was suspended, not he didn't resign. So that's, yeah. That's a bit of a disappointment, and I'm sure a lot of EFF supporters also quite aggrieved by that, you know. But you can tell, Obana, it's a very tense situation, man. It's a very emotional situation.
Very crazy and very crazy indeed. But obviously, I mean, the cat is out of the bag. He has officially taken off his EFF beret, and I've said this like a number of times. I've said this a number of times, and I've said it about Floyd Shivambu as well. These guys grow up in in the political space. That they go out there, they advance themselves academically, and believe that the only way to make it is through politics. And I've said with the level of academic intelligence, I'll say they could be better off serving the country outside politics. Politics are dirty. You know, they will drag your reputation to the floor, you know. And I've always said this specifically about Undlozi, is that I mean, like, he's better serving the country or his people in outside the political space, you know, which is basically what he's decided to do now, apparently, to delve into the academia space. So big up to him, man.
But I mean, there's another important aspect here that teaches us in terms of leadership, how sometimes you know, people that are in leadership can actually just move with lies that are they're being fed, instead of gathering facts, you know, from the actual individuals. And I think this is just another lesson in terms of it's important for anybody who's in a leadership position to give each person the benefit of the doubt and to listen to each story, you know, before they make those drastic decisions, especially in public, and scrutinizing an individual just because uve into ethile, you know, and yet it's not necessarily based on truth. I think we even outside, just outside of politics, like, so this is a dynamic that we see also. I mean, look at the higher education space that I'm in. There's a lot of that where management will move with who so and so said this particular person is plotting against you, or is, you know, is trying to take over your position, and a person not actually investigating and finding out what are the actual facts here, and giving both sides of the stories the ear, and then making an informed decision, you know, in terms of how you want to move.
And I think just in general as well, I mean, like, you can't move with hearsay. I mean, like, it's a thing with us in journalism. It's very unfortunate that, like, you do find an ilk or a group of journalists that are going to rely on social media and report that as fact. I think one very beautiful interview that Helen Zille, former journalist, had with Omek G, and actually saying, and it also takes me back to my internship where my at Algoa FM, it was called Radio Algoa then. You know, they sent me for a story to go into this bowling club which is next to our offices in Green Acres, and my news editor, he said, listen, Mr. Saliso, we need this story now for 12 o'clock. So please, what we want is not hearsay. We want you to go inside. Now, the owner of the bowling club was inside the bowling club, and he was saying that apparently there was a bomb threat. So he was saying that, like, if there's a bomb, it's going to explode with him inside. And my editor said to me, Nick Grab, Yeah. He said to me, listen, since we want that story and we want it for the 12 o'clock, and this is like 15 minutes before the bulletin, and it's like
Yeah.
we want a sound bite from the owner inside. So I
Yeah.
went in there not knowing it's my first day on the field, and the place is cordoned off by police and stuff. No one
Mm.
obviously is allowed to get in. It's a bomb threat. And I was forcefully saying, hey, my editor wants this story. It was a
Yeah.
crazy thing. And then the policeman was just chasing me away. Go away, man. Like, what you talking
So
about?
that way now.
You know. And then I walked back, and as I was walking back, they were looking at me through the window with my head bowed down because I didn't get the story. I didn't get
Yeah.
the soundbite from the owner. And they
Yeah.
laughed as I came up the stairs and stuff. And they say, like, at least we saw that you tried, to
Mm.
actually get that. So that's what gathering information is about. And I think people, what we're trying to say, I know I'm digressing a little bit, is that, like, have all your facts together,
Yes.
before you start, forming an opinion, or sharing stuff like that with other people.
Yeah, and I mean,
As
it's
we,
always sad
mm,
to also see the breakaway. Let's talk about also the sadness of in relationship that you've seen. I mean, those are not Julius. We can't deny that they have chemistry that they've shared, and the bromance, that they had. Even with this guy that went
Floyd.
to MK, yes, Floyd. So there is that also sadness that you see when in relationships are not necessarily taken care of how they can just kind of like
Mm,
break away. Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, moving on to something, we're gonna be very quick. I mean, like, going through
Yes,
this particular
yes.
one. I mean, I think like on the 28th of January or 27th, we heard of e-buses, I say Mpumalanga Patco buses. 50 of them were satellite,
Okay.
and very, very. It's awesome, really, more than anything, and the guys, apparently two guys, have been arrested since. And my question, or everybody's question, is what is behind all of that? There's obviously, I mean,
Mm,
speculation was rife that the taxi industry, if you've got 50 less buses on the road, that means, like, we get to work.
mm,
And now there is a sad one moving right along. I mean, like, in Cape Town, which just happened last night. And thank you to Mdagalo Didi. They have given him credit by putting his picture, by tagging
mm,
his entire picture. Who got us that? Where about 13 taxis were satellite overnight, which belong to a particular taxi association. And for me, that is going to spew nothing but what is being reported now, that there are fears of retaliation or a full-blown
mm.
taxi war in Cape Town that is
Yeah.
looming. And I don't know, Minister of Transport, I don't know, the president. We've seen that the taxi industry has been running amok for quite some time. I've just learned in the Eastern Cape now there's a taxi boss who's busy demanding his guns and ammunition from the officials there, you know. And it was said that he was given the right to get his weapons back by a judge, in a high court. And yeah, and I'm
Yes.
like, the timing of it all, the timing of it
I
all,
mean,
and
we have so much going on right now. We are busy trying to get the SNDF situation, sorted, and now having to deal with lay issue is just another.
and that story is right here in our Tika, people. You can check it out and read it for
Yeah.
yourself as we go along. As we said, we want to go through as much as possible. Another one that's out there, they say that 110 women speak out the deep-rooted culture of sexual abuse in the Eastern Cape,
Mm,
particularly in the government space.
mm,
That story is being revived again, and obviously we come from the story that's adjourned until May, I believe,
yeah.
of the judge and O Mahandi. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It really would be interesting to find out from the women in the province. And I think they've
Yeah.
spoken a couple of times whenever there is a rape or a sexual intimidation or sexual harassment case that comes in within the provincial government of the Eastern Cape. And I know that with Anele being there, there is some formation or some fact gathering formation or meeting that is supposed to be arranged for her to go give evidence of some of these sexual abuses by officials in government.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's on everybody's lips. And I think when these stories come out, I always say it's an opportunity for us to look at ourselves, look at our institutions, look at how we are either participating, as different sexes in either supporting the perpetrators or just the victimizing the victim even further by the opinions that we formulate and we deal with the issue. So that's one hot thing that's happening in the Eastern Cape province.
Yeah.
Sure. Woo, and we come to, speaking of Julius Malema, the fight with Elon Musk. Look, an Afriforum moonwalking all over the freaking world and peddling lies, and now they are back denying them. And Elon Musk being at the forefront of all of this. If you own the platform and you peddle untrue information,
unnecessary information,
and you are doing this with a friend who is trigger happy, who is not reasoning. We know Donald Trump is a cowboy, and that's why he came out and said what he said about South Africa. Is doing in South Africa, we're hearing they're doing things that are unsavory about to a particular group when it comes to their land. And motherfucker, why the fuck didn't you go read? And somebody was asking, why is it that you are not talking to your ambassador? You're going through the right channels.
You know what I don't like? I just, again, I think we spoke about this last year. This intimidation and this bullying that US likes to do and just jump into conclusions without necessarily engaging properly and using proper channels. Because I mean, they have channels that they can use to gather information and get to the root of the stories, but they decide they're just gonna go with whatever they hear, and then come with these threats. We're going to take away our funding, we're going to do this. I think you could sense even from the response of President Obama, there is this kind of like hurtful attitude that we have now. But you know what, actually, no, we can no longer tolerate such nonsense. So yeah, it's just inappropriate. And I think there needs to be a better way of leaders, again, dealing with serious issues, and not just moving with the wind.
And I think I've always said this about Donald Trump. I mean, like even during his first tenure, when he was being elected, and people were like, "Yeah, Trump is going." I'm like, guys, calm the fuck down. Trump is going to be America's problem. It is not going to be the world's problem. He doesn't want to go into war. He wants power. He wants to prove to Americans, how great it is, how great he is, and all of that stuff. And when he was talking about building walls and all of this stuff, I said that for the first time, America is not going to go into war anytime soon. Because Trump is concerned with pleasing the South Africa, the American community, which is taking back his companies back to the US and taxes, blah blah blah. It was a very interesting, and I mean, like, you'd vote for him, and this is what we have now. And I think there is a group of people that is just not happy with him
Mm.
paying attention to America and obviously peddling and putting him in these spaces. I mean, he's gone out against Mexico, and the president of Mexico came out guns blazing. He's done the same thing as far as sanctions are concerned, or tariffs, hiking up tariffs as far as Canada is
Yeah.
concerned. And Canada said, and he reminded him, very beautiful that speech. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to get it on, where he was saying, we fought with you and you guys have just had fires in Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
We are the ones who sent people to come and help you. And the next thing, you go into office and you sign off something that hikes our tariffs. And he mentions the many wars that Canada has always been a partner with the United States. And I think like he's just out there to cause nonsense. And he's basically now, with the help of Elon Musk, peaking on South Africa for no freaking reason over Afriforum that is hell-bent on trying to get us to fucking apartheid, really.
I mean, in Afriforum, they can just do us a favor and take up Trump. Like they must just go. They must take Trump up to the proposal. But they must come over. Then they must go so that people understand Zandoni, once they are gone. Because I think these threats, we're gonna leave and we're gonna take our things. And I mean, see, it's abusive relationship more so.
Time is moving. They must go.
We can figure out where we are and what we have and how do we survive. Because at the end of the day, and I liked what the president said, when we fought, South Africans fought. You were never there to assist the South Africans when it was apartheid, and so you can't now come here tell us what you're telling us and use this abuse of power kind of approach. I don't think it's gonna work. Of course, at this point in time, we need to have Afriforum also held accountable very seriously. We can't have such tendencies.
No, for sure. I think the MK party has taken them, has charged them in Cape Town for treason. Well, very interestingly, the DA on the other side, Helen Zille and his gang, they've decided to file court papers against the bill that the president has just passed pertaining to this whole land issue. But very interesting is that they're going to court to contest this, while on the other side, the newspaper reports are that, there's an envoy that is being put together by the president together with the leader of DA, Steenhuisen, to go to Washington to go and explain, to undo this nonsense that the Afriforum has done. And what was very interesting for me, South Africans are very amazing people. They are Africans, they are the white South Africans that have come out and said, fuck you, bro. Like, we are happy where we are. Obviously they're going to be 10,000, as reported, that are saying that they want to take Trump up. It's probably somebody who is stagnant in South Africa, who's white and stagnant in South Africa, to start with. It's like, oh, okay, cool. If I can go and be a refugee, it will be better than living here. But for people that are progressive in thinking, for people that have the future of this country, that are white, that have the future of this country at the back of their minds, and are willing to build and actually look into this bill that has been passed and see how it can be resolved amicably, which needs sitting down. What I found on social media that was disturbing was how many people, and even some leader from Orania, coming out and saying that they want Donald Trump to help so that they can be recognized. You decided to go sit there all by your fucking self. You decided to do that. Exactly. You want to be recognized by what? All right, go there, plan for yourself,
for deciding whether and live a separate life from the rest of South Africans.
Because the next thing that should be happening, they should be prevented from selling their whatever they are farming there, and keep it for themselves and stay there. Don't make money outside Orania. Help yourselves out there. Which is BS that we've spoken a bit about. I don't want to take up too much time, Queen, but there's this video.
I know you can go on and on. We'll see some
right. Yeah, if sister was here.
Okay, let's go to the video.
I wanna play this video, and I'm gonna play and pause. I hope my system assists me, because it just gives you a different opinion, or a different opinion of white and Afrikaner people from South Africa regarding this whole nonsense that has been peddled by Kriel and Afriforum. And I think Kim Heller was one of those people who says that no white person is indigenous to Africa. White South Africans like myself and like Kali Kriel of Afriforum all came to Africa from other parts of the world. Africa belongs to Africans. And this is where he was asserting that we are indigenous to this country. We don't want to go. We thank you, Mr. Trump, for offering the thingy. There's somebody white who is telling you what the truth is, and you're still in denial because you are still chasing the supremacy. You are still chasing, like, you can't resist the South African economy. You keep telling us we're going to be like another Zimbabwe. Fuck no,
U.S. President Donald Trump's offer
You've got
to take in
allies.
white South Africans as refugees fleeing persecution may not spur quite the rush he anticipated. Afrikaners are mostly white South African descendants of Dutch and French settlers, some tracing back their roots in the country to the 17th century. But
did you hear? Going back so many centuries back. Dutch and Italian and all kinds of people, which is where they come from.
It's not clear they want to
let's
flee
leave
the
that
place
alone.
they've
Let's
called home
continue.
for hundreds of years.
Yeah, why would you want to go? Hasn't been any really bad taking over of land. The people are carrying on like normal. And, what are you going to do over there?
That was the response from Neville van der Merwe, a white 78-year-old pensioner living in Cape Town. And he had this to say about Trump cutting off aid to his country.
We all know how Mr. Trump behaves, so it's not, why should they do that? It is being spiteful.
All I can say is
that was one dude who was interviewed. He's from Cape Town, and you can hear what he's saying. This is an old Afrikaner man down in Cape Town, and this is a guy who is a farmer. I'm gonna play all of this so that
Donald Trump must leave his things in America and we can stay in South Africa. So yeah, dis ons land en ons wil hierso bly.
What are you farming?
I'm farming broiler chickens now, and we're starting with pigs also. Yes.
He says that the government of South Africa is doing very bad things to you and your community. Is that the sentiment you have?
Well, no, our government is very good to us. They actually just fixed our road there on the gravel road, and they're building RTP houses for the people, and that actually boosts our business, because now there's going to be more people buying chickens from us and eggs and also pig meat and so on. So I think that the government is actually doing good for us now. Well, I don't know about Afriforum because I don't know anything about him. So yeah, I can't answer that. Sorry.
We welcome the concern.
How is that for facts? How was that
just
for
like,
reality?
You know what? Afriforum, I don't want to be part of this. Yeah, no.
This is an Afrikaner farmer in South Africa saying, I don't know about Afriforum and what they are going on about. I'll just play a little bit of this, which is where they were busy defending the whole nonsense.
But we believe that the solution must be found in South Africa. We reaffirm today our commitment and our firm commitment to the country and all its people. Although we differ with the ANC about the direction of the country.
You see the mention there, even though we differ with the ANC, it is not saying we differ with the government.
With the government. And yet we are in GNU.
And now we must be out here trying to defend ourselves and the country from lies that these people are peddling.
ANC, they're just being diplomatic. They differ with black people, Bona. That's what they differ with. Every black person they differ with. forget
That is
things.
it.
The many
There you
race
go.
laws that
That's the first
make
one.
us second-class citizens, the treatment of the Afrikaans community with the Bella Act, laws.
The Bella Act, we've spoken extensively about it. And I always say, and I've been like active on Elon Musk's platform in recent times. And my thing is, with all of this like backlash and going on about the Bella Act, which, by the way, is being said over and over and over again, this particular clause, it has got nothing to do with stifling or killing the Afrikaans language. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with balancing the imbalances. And I always say the people that I debate with on socials, I'm like, why is it that you find this to be unfathomable, while 1976 is just 40 years ago,
The
right?
same, the
Or
same,
50
the
years
same
ago.
part.
The
Yes.
same vibe. No white person is being killed around the Bella Act. While in
No.
1976, the apartheid government killed scores and scores of black children that said they do not want to be taught or administered in Afrikaans. So now, instead of going on and talking about it and debating how this is being done through government and the Department of Education, you are going out to the world, to people like Trump, going out to people that like Musk, and telling them things are bad in South Africa. This is what's happening. And by the way, this is all an anticipation.
But you see, this speaks to the entitlement of white Africa. Some
Thank
white
you so
Africans.
much, Queen.
I mean, this because they won't even give you the opportunity to sit on the table and have a discussion, to understand where's the middle ground. It's their way. They must get their way, or it's the highway, which is exactly what Afriforum has done.
The
We cannot accept that.
freaking privilege that gets to me, because that is what it is.
That's what it
And
is.
somebody, I don't forget the quote verbatim, when someone was saying that for white supremacy, equality appears like slavery, because they
Yes.
cannot think or get to a point where they want
No.
to talk to a black person, where they want to
No.
reason with the person. Now they're speaking about the whole AGOA thing, which is basically a policy set up by the United States of America for sub-Saharan Africa, including South Africa, to do business with the United States of America. And it's basically around easing tariffs, for trade. And guess who that is benefiting? It is benefiting people who are in the minerals. It is benefiting farmers. It is benefiting manufacturers. It is benefiting the automotive industry. So when they say that it is going to hurt South Africans, they are talking not from black South Africans being business partners.
No, they're talking from themselves as the white people who are benefiting from this economy today.
People are going to lose jobs. What jobs? How much of that plays into the economy? You know what I mean? So you out here talking AGOA, you talking, I remember, I think it was Helen talking about, when BRICS started off, it was a very good idea, but they started adding countries like Iran. If countries like Iran say that it is better to do business with BRICS than to do it with the United States or to do it with Europe, who are we to stand in our way when the policies of BRICS speak to a level of equality when it comes to trading? Oh my God, let me leave this video. Let me cut this shit out. Oh.
This is what white privilege and white supremacy will do. It will drive you crazy, because there is no logic.
There's no fucking logic.
No, there's no logic, because it's like you said, equality equals to threatening their privileged status, and so to them it feels like Ngoku. Well, it means therefore Tinas is about poor and be stuck in poverty. Well, no, it just means that everything for South Africans equal, equal opportunity, equal access, and that means economic equality as well, not just stupid things.
Very interesting one. I'm so excited about what we're going to be talking about on the Momo. But to our viewers, we also have the news and information which we promised in the previous episode about the Joburg Film Festival, which is taking place between the 11th and the 16th of March. I'll give you all we spoke about badges, we spoke about young people and filmmakers participating. I've gathered like a bit of information for you to have and actually to follow up on. But for now, I think it's time for, in fact, I don't even think, I know it is time for us to go to the Queen to talk about today's topic. If you are a parent, you have a kid that is going to tertiary or at tertiary, this one is definitely for you.
Give up on your dreams, don't give up on yourself. It can also be a developmental crisis issue. Keep pushing and stay the course. Okay, hey guys. Dibuyile with our Momo sessions. Welcome back to Motivational Moments with your girl T, Chops on the Slicer TV podcast. So, namhlanje, really, we're talking about the parents, right, that have their punchununus, who are no longer punchununus anymore, but they are at varsity or they are somewhere pursuing their dreams, whether in a college, whether it's public or private institution, but they are somewhere in an institution of higher learning. And what I want to speak to really, Slicer and and our viewers, is just talking to the parents in terms of how do you support your child in this transitional period, because it's an adjustment, right? Higher education is an adjustment, and it's a big space to navigate, and it's an intimidating space to navigate for a young 19 years or 18 years. It can be quite overwhelming, right? And it's very important abazali, they stay very close to their kids and not just throw the child in the deep end, but at the same time to not be the helicopter parent, to allow the space for your child to actually move into that space and feel the environment for themselves, figure themselves out, and become the person that they're supposed to become. So what we normally encourage is the first thing as umzali, obviously in the first few weeks, it is important to just check in, as your child is adjusting to the new routine of attending classes. I know now most universities have started with their academic projects. So a lot of first years are attending their classes, or it's probably their first or second week now of attending classes. So that means they're getting used to the timetable. They're getting used to the pace that is faster than high school, right? They're getting to the style of teaching that is definitely different than high school. They're also having a reality shocker because lecturers don't really give one-on-one attention. So uzaye classini and the lecturer has no idea who you are. The lecturer doesn't know whether usugapi really is not a factor because it's a big group. So all of a sudden, lomntana mhlambi upase get distinctions at high school is coming to a university where they don't get the attention that they used to get, and that can be a shocker for a child who used to get close attention from teachers, right? Because now they have to navigate that space alone. I call constant motivation, I call constant pushing, but do well, try hard and whatnot, you are on your own. So it's very important to kind of like prepare your child, but look, you have this freedom, but it comes with a lot of responsibilities. That is making sure that you actually show up for what you said you're going to show up for. That is, show up for classes, because I come to Zapusha now, do your work, because nobody's going to check up on you if you've done what you're supposed to do, the assignment. Get organized, that is, know when your assessments are coming up, know, which modules you kind of like see that you are getting them, or you see that, hey, I'm lost, I'm struggling, and get the support as soon as possible, because there is support services at university. Then the next one is, a lot of young people struggle with the adjustment of the higher education space because it's such a big hub. It's not only now your child dealing with next door neighbor, you have your vendors, you have your Tswanas, you have your, all these tribes in one space. They have to share a residence, for example. They have to share a classroom, for example. So your child has to understand that they are now in a space where they have to be able to deal with difference, right? And be able to tolerate and respect and accept other people, from all walks of life. And this will tell a lot with the international group also that is in higher education space. Again, having to share a space with people that you've never really spent time with, you've never really had to interact with closely, and suddenly now, the higher education space can also be challenging in that all of a sudden you're sharing a room, your roommate perhaps is lesbian or gay, depending, and when also there's you've never really closely had that interaction with that particular person. It could be, scary for you because of where you're coming from. You could feel a little bit of, apprehension, but it's important to prep that person to say, different. You have to be open-minded. Just because a person is different doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. You just have never had the opportunity to interact with that particular person. So having a child that's open-minded is very, very important at higher education. And then the next one, the big one, which is very sad for me, is when I see first years who have to be expelled in their first year because they're coming into university, they don't know that there are rules and regulations of how you conduct yourself. So conduct. You have to remind them about ismilo. University, that they continue to be respectful, they continue to be considerate of themselves and others. They continue to understand that with their freedom, that does not mean that they must infringe on other people's rights. They have rights, but they also have to understand that the next person also has rights, So we see this confusion, so when a first year is going to come in, has no idea that there's a policy on sexual harassment or just in general GBV policy in higher education space. Again, maybe at high school it was okay to catcall, young girls or, to play around. And then at varsity, you're in trouble because in that space, it's a bit more strict in terms of how you interact with people. There are things that are called consent that you have to get to understand, right? Sharing of space is also very, very sensitive in that as a guy, you can't just visit a girlfriend without getting permission and making sure that people are comfortable with you being around, because it could be that you are making them feel uncomfortable, right? So just that parents need to have a sit down with your child, and you can only be able to understand what's happening when you check in. So in the first term, it's very important. Check in, you don't have to do it every day, but I would say in a week, in this week, what is happening, what is new that they're learning, what are they struggling with? There are struggles that children experience, they just get this feeling of I went to, excited, therefore, whereas honeymoon phase, or passing and get distinctions, you now at varsity, the reality is kicking in. It can be overwhelming. Your child could be drowning emotionally because they are just so scared, or they could find that they are not sure even about the course that they are doing.
No, which is a reality. Which is a reality.
Yes. So now the attendance class this week, and I'm realizing, geez, I am lost. I have no idea what they're talking about, and you're quite sure about, my choices in terms of modules. So there's a lot that a person has to take in the first term of their first year, and so Abazali, I think having to check in with their children, once a week, bi-weekly, very important. But look at the challenges. What are you struggling with? How do we support you? And then get to know the systems as umzali so that you can be able to also advise your child. You know, no, consult, or have you consulted your lecturer? You know, because the other thing about being a first year is that you know, because you have this perception where you don't want that, right? So a lot of first years will stay silent, not because but because there's this fear of asking for help that we have. And so I think instilling that freedom to your child to say, doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean about udom. It means that you are really serious about getting your act together and you really want to do well in this space. And there is no way of being successful as a student without getting help. So I think just Ugu instill the culture of help-seeking behavior, especially for males. I want to say this, you know, encourage your child to say, look, Noda, you have to speak up now, you know, this is a new territory. You cannot sit by yourself and think you're going to figure this out. You need people that can point you in the right direction. So Ukteta will definitely help your child. And then it's also the things, that's the general things like encourage your child to use their instinct. That is, you know, to trust themselves, because now they are becoming their own person. That means they have to trust their instinct so that they can make the right decisions, because awuko, right, as umzali. So they have to rely on that survival instinct. If you are it doesn't feel right. Maybe it is actually for you to listen to that inner voice and not do that and consult again. Then it's about choices. There's a lot of choices that they're gonna be making, you know, good and bad choices, and then having your child understanding that the choice that they make, unfortunately, the consequence they will have to deal with, regardless of what type of choice they've made. So if they make a good choice, the consequence is going to be positive. Of course, that's good. But if they make a bad choice, the consequence is also going to just sting and be a negative one. They have to deal with that, because life is about choices, right? So when they go to university, they have to really make good choices, because that's what it is. Life is about making choices every single day. So that is deciding whether I'm going to go to Groove with the friends or I'm going to sit and study for my assignment, right? Deciding whether I'm going to experiment with drugs, unfortunately, because you're at varsity and you have access to a lot of things. And as far as money is going to come in, or IPASA is going to pay you, suddenly it feels like you are rich for a few days. Yeah, now you know when that 1.6, I can't remember what NSFAS is paying them now. But remember, some of these kids have never had that kind of money in their, you know, in their access or their account. Now they can decide: do I buy food or do I buy alcohol? You know, and just have a good time. And this is what I mean when I'm saying making good choices, teaching your child they choose the choice, but the consequence, they won't choose it, because the consequence is an automatic response to the choice, right? It's almost an automated thing, you know? And so, unfortunately, some choices will have consequences, and the only way to find out is you have to make the choice, right or wrong, you have to make the choice, and you will only find out once you've made the choice, consequence. And that's why I'm saying, like, with those things, just those few things, abazali, I hope that they can at least walk the child usher your child into adulthood. As the students anymore, we call them, we say colleague, because they're going to professions now. They're gonna go into the world working, you know. We don't interact with them directly. We ask them to write emails. So those are the dynamics that your child needs to understand about. They won't have access to people. So let generation get in a instant gratification most, right? So they want to be responded to. And so anxiety because the lecturer can't respond. They send a query on Monday today, and they think that go 5 response, whereas that's not the turnaround time at university, because there's hundreds of you in class that the lecturer has to respond to. and. So getting them also to the mindset of, look, be patient. Izinto zase-university, they require you to have the patience and then to have also the courage, right? The courage to ask, and really let your child then be. After the first term, I always say, once you've walked them through the first term, that is between now and March, after that, because there's nothing as umzali that you can do further for that child. They have to become the person that they are meant to become. And so all you can do is provide la support. As babe we are for VEC, they will come and you are there, and you are responding as and when they are needed. But you back off as umzali and allow the child to now enjoy really being, a student and becoming whoever they're supposed to become, and be okay also for umntanakho achinje xa umxebuyayo, because they're gonna learn, they're gonna discover themselves, they're going to discover new things. They might come back a bit cocky because they're now in first year and they have learned a few things. And maybe they might come back and realize, look, I'm actually not the person that I thought I am. I'm discovering the things that I thought I like, I don't like anymore. The things that I believe in, even if the belief system is changing, because now I'm questioning, I'm thinking. And it's okay as umzali, umntanakho is still your child. And so allow the child to change, because that's why you send them to university, so that you learn that they were supposed to be, they are meant to be. And that's it.
Boo, 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 boo. Oh, by the way, it's a green bottle. I'm not gonna show the brand. It's a non-alcoholic, zero alcohol. We haven't touched alcohol this year. And we're trying to do a lot more of that. When I was doing a lot of getting a lot of car sponsorships and stuff, it is one of the brands that I was promoting, like zero alcohol. So I think it's one of those challenges. So don't see a green bottle and think it's alcohol, man. But I want to quench my thirst with that, and actually there's not much to say about this. I mean, like, you've touched on each and every important thing, because this is where these people now are going to stop being spoon-fed. They have to learn responsibility. I always like to speak from experience. Like my son and my nephews and nieces, my whole thing was like, for an example, when you wake up in the morning, make your bed. That's a sense of responsibility. And secondly, the feel good about it. I mean, up until to date, even on days I don't feel like making the bed, but if I don't have anything to look forward to, the fact that like I make my bed, it gives me a sense of accomplishment. It does make me happy,
yes.
Exactly. So I think those are some of the things or responsibilities that you probably should have honed as a parent, and obviously a note that you're going to send them to university with. I like the cultural diversity, where language is going to be a barrier. People's sexual preferences are going to be a barrier. I mean, like, for kiddos also gets lalini, and then it's like like type of thing. So as a parent, I mean, like, you are quite aware of these dynamics, and if you have a constant communication with your child when they come across such challenges, it will be that you know what I mean. So now as a parent, you should be arming yourself with knowledge, in terms of how the excuse me, how the world has evolved and where we are, and especially those cultural differences. And you are still young, you can learn more languages in your life. They will better equip you. So as I said, Queen, I don't have much to say around it. because you have it all. I like the fact that you also address them as colleagues, because you are now getting them ready for employment. You know, you have to wait. You are not going to be your boss's favorite. They're going to like you for the first few months because of the skill that you're bringing in. After that, you're just going to be another ordinary employee. So when you don't get those accolades, all of those stuff, you still need to have your own drive, you know, to carry you through to you know, to accomplish tasks and stuff. So I think this is a very beautiful one. And as we said, if you're a parent, this is a guide for you. And by the way, right here, Msengana Thobeka at gmail.com. And of course, there's the number.
One last thing, one thing that I always tell my students is the mistake that I made when I was at varsity was I didn't get involved as much as I could have, you know, out of that fear first year, but I didn't explore. And there's so much to get involved in at university outside the classroom. So abazali also to just encourage your child, if they're not a sport person, of course, if you're sporty, there's a lot of sporting courses to get involved in, but there are many other things to do outside the physical, you know, things. Just it is in order that will build the confidence in your child and help your child to build ECV. But from first year, we encourage that to say, look, the high unemployment rate is very high out there. It means get ready now, get involved, do things, and expose yourself and experience a good you know, university life.
Yeah, no, that is it, people. And obviously, right here, if you have any questions or you want a one-on-one with our resident.
Please.
Oh no, of course. I mean, what do you think? Like, we'll do something for free. Hell no, what happened?
Please,
the only thing that is
something, man. A cold drink and
a cool drink. Oh wow, imagine. It's like, yeah, no, we're done with the session. So when's one down? I know a cool drink, cool drink.
I'm a smack.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Otherwise, what's I know that it's a very busy moment in your life right now. Obviously, what you are speaking about is what you are living. You are dealing with students that are coming in, and there's something that I actually missed. I wanted to share with our viewers as well. This is obviously from the Herald. In the Nelson Mandela Bay, where they're talking about scores of hopeful students being stranded in Thobeka after traveling to the city, hoping to secure a spot at Nelson Mandela Bay University after being previously accepted. I think, I don't know if there's any thing you can throw as far as that is concerned, because I'm thinking, like, would it be a matter of the marks? You know, the being the entry barrier, because yes, the pass rate is high, but if you are going to look at the average of that, you know, the pass rate, it tells a different story when it comes to being accepted at an institution of higher learning. Do you find that you have those?
We're having this conversation with a colleague, and we're saying that, you know, with this thing, you're mislead, and you know, there's these weird combinations that abantwana get to use to do in terms of EE subjects. It becomes a barrier when they have to be accepted at varsity now, because all of a sudden, umdanako has dropped science and maths, and they took mislead. The course that they want to do requires them to have, you know, pure maths or science, right? So I think, Slice, we still have a long way to really educate abazali nabantwana on those subject choices and how they impact actually the entry to university. And then also this understanding, Yoguti, when you are provisionally accepted at varsity, it doesn't mean for sure utadi. It's just provisional because of your marks that you got go June. You know, and then December marks are the ones that actually tell the true story. So once when I'm done, I kind of perform actually on Google grade 12, the final marks.
The final marks.
Yes, and so then it becomes a problem, because then if faculty might drop that student and say, no, e-point is no longer meeting the requirements. So
the requirements.
And difficulty with universities that each faculty has its requirements. So engineering and science, they have their own. Agriculture, they have their own. Your social sciences, they have their own. So for Manzimana, there is this issue now where Umdana applied for a particular faculty, but they don't meet the requirements there. Then
For that particular one.
Something else that they didn't really want to do. And this is one of the reasons that you see the displacement.
Yeah, and I'm hearing the mismatch of subjects when it comes to choice, because obviously I think it was the standard 8, grade 10, where you get to choose now your final subjects into grade 12. And isn't there guidance, because I'd like to believe that there should be some form of guidance in terms of where the kids want to go, and looking at the subject choice. I mean, like, you can't be doing excuse me, I don't know, religious education while you want to get into the sciences, or you want, you know what I mean. I mean, like, we've all done that, where we want to choose the easiest. We want a combination of the easiest, and yet you're not considering what you want to do at the end of when you complete your grade 12.
That's exactly.
So that guidance, would you say that it is probably like missing in certain schools?
Yeah. Of course, in the public schools, it's non-existent like guidance. It's just when I choose the subjects, but the choosing is not linked to choose with the mind that you're going to university in 3 years. Choose with the mindset that you're going to go and study what you want to study, and are these subjects getting you there? That's the first thing that is non-existent in our government school. So career guidance is definitely something that needs to be done properly. But then there's another issue that bothers me is teachers advising for the sake of as a result of this false result that you are given. They will push kids to drop, for example, in maths, not because the child doesn't have potential, but because they want the school to get this pass rate. So because they don't want to risk the chances of
the pass rate.
Yes, the pass rate. So for Manzimana, when I was like, even Umdana that could have had the potential, just needing pushing when it comes to these particular subjects. So abantwana bapushwa kwezi subjects zingenamsebenzi zingazubasa really. And that's, for me, is where we need to get it right with the government. We cannot have a majority of our kids doing a math lit, when we know varsity, it's not gonna give them many options, especially when we say we are wanting kids to take up the science and engineering kind of choices and streams that will give them opportunities after they complete their degrees. This is also one of the reasons that you see a high unemployment rate, because you see kids that go to university studying izinto that are no longer needed, or they are not in demand, courses that they do. Then in 3 years' time, Umdanako is sitting with a degree because it's no longer relevant, or it's very saturated now. There's no demand of this particular course. So those are things that we need to be mindful of as abazali as well when we are dealing with abantwana bethu choose subjects.
Oh, wow, very interesting. And it's almost like we're still in the Momo, and it's quite important because this is another story that I picked up. Excuse me. They say that tensions are rising at the CPUT Cape Town campus as private security clashes with students protesting worsening accommodation crisis. And this is quite often what is happening. Isn't there a different manner of dealing with with challenges like this, where we don't see kids out on the streets? I mean, it happened in UJ the previous year, where students were clashing with security. Isn't there a form of effectively communicating, whether it's a lack of space in a particular faculty, or it's a lack of accommodation, or whatever? Maybe from your practices and how you guys do it.
Look, I you know what, I will be in trouble with this one, but the
Oh,
truth is
yeah,
that
yeah.
there's definitely a level of irresponsibility sometimes with the management where they want to accept these kids that are applying, right? You talk about enrollment now, right? You have this 1,000 students that you've enrolled, but you haven't checked about, do you have beds? Do you have actually accommodation to accommodate? Who 30,000 students? That means you must accommodate them. And that's where the fight is sometimes when us lie, is that capacity of university residents sometimes is just not as much as the students that are accepted to come to university. That's why I'm saying it's an irresponsibility or irresponsible way of actually dealing with it that requires a Minister of Higher Education, that requires, the Vice Chancellors of universities to be responsible in how they are actually dealing with this particular issue.
Yeah. Or is it what people have been saying in Dogbana? They are just happy to accept the what do they call it? The registration
Yes. And the
fees.
subsidies and the politics around these is just like too much, because there's also money about how many students we are receiving and accepting in our university and so there must be some level of responsibility, because at the end of the day abantwana become victim. Umntana usuke kude kuqumbuza Cape Town and then you hear tragic stories abantwana balimele because of course they don't have safe places to actually live.
Yeah. We close the Momo off like that, our people, and obviously your comments, and if there is anything in the topic that we've and the topics that we've touched on that you would like us to revisit, especially around our well-being, because this feature exists for us to derive, more topics from it. It could be what do I do with my child? They sit at home and they play PlayStation the whole time, or they sitting on their computer. And I love what you said about the fact that, like, socially outside academia, their books, they should be going out there. I mean, like, now technology is crazy. Go to the lab, go sit with a kid that's doing something totally different from you. They will be more than willing to share, because maybe that kid is into coding, which is quite lucrative right now. You have that math and science, and you really getting somebody else who could be your partner in a business. If you remember those two boys from Stellenbosch that found the glitch in SARS. Those were just kids who are in the internet and coding space that just happened to come across a glitch. So you'll never know, by you getting yourself out of your res and interacting with other children, you don't know what fortune might lie out there for you. So go out there, you little people. Go out there, do your thing. Okay. Yeah, not all of y'all are gonna play for Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates. Oh, am I counting Kaizer Chiefs? Lord, let's move right along. Let's move
on. Let's not talk about soccer, because
as we ended off, Queen, we are going to touch on the Johannesburg Film Festival, and know that I'm sure that, like, people who watched our previous episode, they came across Usisa, Usino Urara, sharing about the Joburg Film Festival, which is which he is a part of, and saying that, like, planning is to the T, and we gathered, because we couldn't have him and is not here to explain a lot of it, but we tried as much as possible to just look into information that is out there. For an example, here it goes on from the 11th until the 16th of March. It is the 7th edition. It's happening in Sentin. That is their website, and obviously there on top, I'm sure you can see the different categories that are encompassed by the Joburg Film Festival, and obviously their biggest partner, MultiChoice, there. So it's taking place between the 11th and the 16th of March. There are various activities that they have there. The Golden Thread, which is basically around, which is the theme, and obviously looking into connecting different stories. So as he had explained before, that there are going to be movies that are being premiered for the first time, made by Africans and some of them from other countries, but they will be shown for the first time. And it did say, I think it's across seven, I think around seven theaters in the Joburg space. If you remember, we did share as well about how beautiful that is for tourism, because people will be booking places closer to there. The businesses around those seven cinemas, will have some form of boost between the dates of the showing of those premieres. And for young people, they actually had this, which is capture the power of sport in film. Aimed at young people, young voices. It's a competition. It's going on until the 21st of February. In fact, the closing date for entries. So you just need to go to the website of the Joburg Film Festival and to get all the information in terms of how you can be a part of it and how you can enter. And basically, as I was explaining, it is a space for sharing insights. It is for media buyers. It is where deals are being struck, between countries. If Burkina Faso or Ghana has a film, they can shop it to South African networks. Or they can vice versa. They can go into film festivals that are hosted by these countries. So there's a lot going on. And the SABCs or ENCAs or multi-choices of other countries will be here as well to look at films or content that they can take to their countries. So it's quite an opportunity. And I think that everybody that you can think of in the film space, from directors to writers to DOPs, all kinds of people in the film space, they certainly will be there as well. So there's a level of interaction. And now the question you might be asking is, how does it all happen?
Yeah.
There's this thing they call the Joburg Film Festival badges, and this basically allows you to get into the different spaces, depending on your interest. Remember, they are premiering films. They are talking, different manner of growing the industry, how young people can participate, and all of that. So you just have to go into the website and look at a particular badge and see if it speaks to you. And I took the liberty of having at least one, for an example, where they say buy a badge. So you buy a badge, for an example, for 1,500 rand. That's 5 times red carpet film premieres. So that is what you get, So you from this particular badge, you'll be able to attend 5 red carpet film premieres, which cost 500 rand, 15 and other film screenings. So around the precinct where it's going to be happening during those days, access to 3-day JBX, that's the Joburg Exchange industry program, including the B2B market, business meeting spaces. So there's a lot going on if you're a filmmaker, just from one badge. So you've got all of those different badges that you can choose from. Otherwise, for more information, you can just go to the Joburg Film the festival website, and you will receive all the information that you need right there, my people. God damn it, I can talk.
This is why
what on earth?
You can talk, my guy.
Oh, I'm done now. I'm done.
But
what a beautiful one.
So interesting. I mean, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if a person is in the film, industry, aspiring to be in there. I would say, go there, check it out. And students, of course, who are definitely studying towards to be actresses or behind the scenes in the film space. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. And I think for young people or people that are looking to enter the space, I always use, I spoke to one young sound engineer. I was in PE last weekend, at the offices, and we were talking like he's in drama production, and I was like, okay, cool. How do you get this? How do you get that? I remember during my time when it comes to sound effects, when you hear a car driving or person closing the door and all of that. There are archives that are there. Some of them are outdated. And I think what I was sharing with him is something I will share with a young person who's into film or, telling stories, that we have phones. Those things are powerful. I remember I had a dictaphone that like I would go to a place, near the river and go capture the water when it's raining, it's outside, because I produce adverts. So what it does, it helps me have real life sound effects. I mean, like if you're talking the sound of a crowd, most of these are in English and in other foreign languages. But when I go out to Mandlin or go out near Texirang or wherever, I'm able to capture people who speak South African indigenous languages. So those are some of the opportunities, and you will have those people at the Joburg Film Festival to interact with, whether it's you and director of photography, whether it's you as cameraman or producer or whatever. Yeah, it's definitely worth going there. Yeah. Queen,
Okay.
that's our story.
That's it. I mean, we did not very bad with time.
And not very bad.
Not very bad with time. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, that's us. What's up for you in the next few weeks? I know that you're busy. Apart from your regular job, you probably might be jetting off to go to a conference somewhere.
You know what? Oh gosh,
There we go.
Okay, but coming up is I'm going to be busy this weekend with the foundation, just strategizing for the year 2025, see where we want to go and what do we want to get involved in. We are getting very intentional about pumping this football club that we have as a foundation and really working with these young men. So watch the space. We're going to be doing a lot of tournaments as well, Upper Eastern Cape, and just getting involved, man, at grassroots level. Yeah, so that's what I'm busy with, foundation stuff. And of course, I've just concluded a very successful orientation week for my freshers. Forte, they are settled. I can safely say, okay, I've now handed over to the faculties to kind of like scare them about the faculty rules. But it's been amazing. I love the work that I do, getting to just inspire young people and encourage them to follow their dreams and to just, like I said, make the right choices, and be there, of course, when they do stumble, because they will stumble, and just provide that kind. Yeah. So for now, taking it easy.
That's great. I think from my end, not much. Remember, we have a new feature that's coming on the 1st of March. We have a business / entrepreneur feature that we're speaking. We're going to have a regular guest who is in that space and who will be sharing a lot around the mindset of an entrepreneur, how you get access to funding, access to markets, all kinds of stuff. So we're excited. That's part of what I'm going to be working on for the next 2 weeks. And obviously, what else is there? It slipped my mind now.
Hopefully, Sisa will be back also next week. In week's time.
Yes. Now it comes back when you mention Uzizi. We're gonna be trying to get ourselves to the Joburg Film Festival and bring you all the excitement. It will be outside our regular scheduling. Because it's going to be happening over those days. So which means that we might just be bringing you the podcast on a daily basis, just to capture the day and the people of interest that are there, so that we can just disseminate the information as well from our end. So those are the two things that we definitely will be looking into. Yeah.
Very
Queen,
exciting. Very exciting.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful one.
See you.